I love that. I've got two comments that I want to bring up that because I don't want to let this go. The question of the day was, how do you feel that you've been discriminated against? And Michael wrote in and said, I had a major meltdown on the bus and the driver yelled at me. And I want to talk about that for just a second, but I also want to acknowledge that a parent said, Parent Disability Rights of Texas is free if you qualify, and they have helped me tremendously in my ARD. And for those of you who don't know, ARD is what they call the IEP in Texas. I don't know what ARD stands for, but I know.
And designation or something like that.
There we go. But it's the same thing as the IEP. It's just they call it the ARD. But just for a second, for people, because the bus is a particularly hard space, and I see time and time again that we have issues with school, with kids riding on a bus way too long because they're being shipped to a school rather than their home school, and then that creates fodder for interesting and upsetting things to happen on the bus, because 9 times out of 10, the bus driver is not someone who has been trained necessarily to deal with any kind of behavior, and usually an aid is not covered for on the bus. So we have a circumstance.
Although it can be.
Right. And I just wanted you to talk for 2 seconds about like what you can do in any of those circumstances, because I think we have rights in all of those different places, right? You have the right to ask for your child not to be put on the bus to drive an hour to go to school.
Yeah, I mean, the transportation aspect of the IEP is a component of FAPE. So if the transportation is unreasonable, you can convene an IEP meeting to discuss what other ways to get to school that might be faster than a bus. If you have a bus driver that's being abusive to a student, that's not really a IEP or special ed issue. I mean, I suppose it's a discrimination issue under ADA or 504, but there also could just be basic civil liability for that behavior. And, some schools have private transportation companies with whom they contract, and some schools have public buses that they put kids on. But I think what you got to do is write a letter to the superintendent and say, this is what's happening to my kid, and I know you wouldn't want this to happen, and I want to let you know about it, and what can we do to rectify the situation immediately? And you should also call an IEP team meeting to discuss the transportation issue. Because otherwise, I think the way the transportation thing works is it's a quote unquote hassle. So, unless pushed, everybody's going to want to leave, and a bus is less expensive than a taxi. So the tendency is going to be, if not pushed, to leave that situation in place. Okay. So you do have to push back against that.
And thank you for the clarification. This person wrote that this was actually on a city bus, not a school bus. So that's an entirely different kettle of fish, but covered under ADA, which was our driver of the day.
And the city bus company could be liable for the discriminatory treatment at the hands of the bus driver.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.